Banksia Village independent living residents have an emergency plan in place, reviewed annually in conjunction with the local RFS. In the 25-year history of Banksia Village, there has never been a need previously to activate the emergency plan. The village residents have activated that plan 3 times since New Year's Eve during the current bushfire crisis.
We had a team in Wollongong, our leadership team. They supported us at the local level, but also enabled us to make really key decisions on the ground, working closely with our councils, our mayor and our RFS.
There were a couple of vulnerable clients in the community and we were able to identify those and contact families and friends and try and work with them to ensure that they were kept safe as well.
From our Dalmini site, we took 22 of their residents, as well as we had people from the evacuation centre in Moruya that they could not look after because of their frailty and their elderly needs. We took from the community as well.
We had amazing help from Fire and Rescue New South Wales, from the RFS, local residents, staff, ex-staff, their families all rocked up on the day to help us.
Integral to the Banksia Village independent living plan is the village fire wardens. They are volunteer residents who have offered to assist residents move to the nominated evacuation centre on site, which is one of the village common centres. Village residents are surveyed each year on what their own personal plans are. So some of those residents, their personal plan may be to leave the village early, which is encouraged, or their plan may be to shelter in place at the village evacuation centre.
We had our CEO on top of the roof hosing down the building to keep embers away. The fire was only 300 metres away at the time. And then, thank God, the southerly arrived and the water bombers arrived.
At Banksia Community Care, we felt quite prepared because we had spent a lot of time on our emergency plan with the community.
While we were there, we actually wrote up 1-page summaries of care plans. We've actually developed a care plan now, a summary care plan that's only 3 pages for each resident.
On the safety team, we have a psychologist, and as we saw the wheels falling off with some of our staff, they really were becoming very vulnerable and fearful that they were going to lose everything, and also whether they were going to get through from a health point as well. And this is where we're really seeing the mental health struggle. So our staff, where we support them, they let us know if the customers are struggling, and then we're seeking support through the GP and other counselling services, which is going to be going on for a number of months.
We had multiple daily meetings with our residents with what was happening, what processes. We didn't separate staff meetings and residents meetings, and they had just as much input as what the staff did to our day-to-day operations through that process.
So lots of communication with people back home to make sure that they were comfortable and felt secure that their loved ones were being cared for.
We had extra canned food, extra water, juices, continence aids, all those sorts of things that you don't think you'd run out of, but you do when there's an emergency and there's nothing to get. We had people come in from the community wanting to help and change beds and bring us food. We were lucky that we had gas stove so we could heat water for cuppas, and they were able to make hot meals for residents, which was good.
The residents were amazingly resilient. On the bus up there were new friendships forged. People were sitting next to each other that they don't really normally mix with.
You know, may have been residents coming together to share food, support each other, just a hug, and that was really heartwarming to see during that time.
The way the care workers and the community came together, I think, was really inspiring. Everyone was really compassionate and generous. A lot of organisations are collaborating and working together to come up with plans, sharing information where we sometimes might have been reluctant before if people are working together more.
We had one staff member, as she evacuated out of Cobargo, she grabbed a customer and off they went at 5 o'clock in the morning. It just sums up how these people actually really support this community and this industry. They are absolutely amazing.
So a scenario that actually happened here at Crown Gardens was the RFS asked us to evacuate, whereas Department of Health was actually telling us to stay and defend.
We saw the RFS really struggled to be able to get all the fire trucks, there was definitely not enough, the helicopters. We also noticed there were strong calls for the Army to come in, which they did, but they really did not have the ability with the fire training, and I think that's something maybe that the government will look at.
The trigger point for our current emergency plan is a watch and act for the Browley area. That alert level was not issued at all on the 3 times that the village plan was activated. So we've reviewed that and added an additional trigger point, which is an emergency warning within a 15-kilometre radius of the Browley area.
Like many other service providers, we have believed that emergency services will be able to assist vulnerable clients to be evacuated from their homes, and obviously on New Year's Eve we found that that wasn't the case, and it did leave a couple of clients who were very vulnerable and we couldn't access, so we had to rely on neighbours.
We did lose power and we did lose communications. You didn't know what was going on outside. The downside of that was some beds and air mattresses wouldn't work because there's no power, so if your bed's stuck up in the air, it's stuck up in the air.
I do think something that could be looked at is maybe disaster management training and planning for Eurobodalla.
My plan always was to stay in the home, and then at the last minute that was changed, and we hadn't prepared for evacuation other than to have a few things on standby. And I think next time we need to have a plan A and a plan B and fully prepared for both.
What management are currently considering is a communication device for the fire wardens, which will be along the likes of a walkie-talkie.
One of the things we have done is we've put satellite phones in.
We've got a generator in place.
Because we left in such a hurry, we had grab bags for everyone, and we asked the staff to grab things and just put stuff in the bag, and some of them did a really great job and others left things behind that were quite important to residents. So what we're doing now is making a list of vital things.
We need to be focusing on training volunteers so that you've got a small set of people that can actually almost act as care workers in assisting clients with their daily needs. It's particularly toileting.
We had amazing support from the fire service and from RFS. I can't criticise them at all, but I would like to have seen the home defended, because it was a major event to actually get these vulnerable, frail people up and out. And this building is fire secure, and also possibly even considering our home as a potential evacuation point for other frail and aged people in the community.
The evacuation centres were really not equipped to deal with our clients, especially the clients with high needs. Some of them couldn't find a respite spot. PIP facilities were obviously getting full and couldn't take them in, so I think that's something that really needs to be addressed.